Hi, in today's video I'm going to be showing you how to use Surfraw from within the W3M terminal browser. Now there's a guy on YouTube called gotbletu, and basically what he's done is written some scripts that work with W3M that allow you to run a keyboard shortcut and execute a Surfraw search from within W3M. There's a few issues with it that I'm going to address and hopefully improve upon. And so basically what I'll do is come across to the terminal, and Surfraw is a command line program that submits search queries to different search engines and either opens it in your GUI browser or in a console browser like W3M. So basically you have a load of built-in search engines, and you can create your own search engine as well, submit queries to. So for example, search Google Linux, and what that's going to do is it switches back to Firefox and opens up Google to the search results page. Now basically what you can do is do the same thing but within W3M. So what I'm going to do is show you gotbletu's version of the script first, and point out some issues with it and how I think it could be improved. So what I'm going to do is run a keyboard shortcut, which is XZ, and you can see this brings up an FZF fuzzy search for all the search engines that Surfraw's got built in. So what we can do is we can type DuckDuckGo. Okay, so we then press return, and now we get this prompts up at the top of the screen saying DuckDuckGo, enter your search keyword. So we'll say Linux, and then it says hit any key. So we've got to hit a key again, and then it comes up within it shows DuckDuckGo and the search results. So what I'm going to do is show you the same thing, but how I've changed it to use FZF with custom search prompts. So let me just go through showing you his version again, and I'll show you the version that I've tweaked to use FZF for the input. So first of all, what I type XZ, which is what I bound this to, we get the prompt, and you can see here we just got a little caret down here. It says DuckDuckGo. Again, we then have to shift our attention to the top of the screen, and we've got a kind of like different interface, as it were. And I've typed Linux, press return, and now I've got to hit any key before it'll actually load. So what I'm going to do is show you the tweaks I've made to improve the usability. What I'm going to do is press XS. I get the same menu here, but what I've done is actually changed the FZF prompt, say search with. So it's obvious that, okay, I want to search with, and now I select a browser to search with. So I'll select DuckDuckGo. Okay, and now what it's doing is it's switched to another FZF prompt showing the LV I've selected, which is the search engine, DuckDuckGo. Here I enter my keyword, Linux, press return, and it loads straight up. And basically, it's not prompting us to enter return, and it's also our focus is at the bottom of the screen using FZF, and then we're not then switching to prompt up at the top of the screen, which has a kind of different layout. Then we've got to click OK again. So what I'm going to do is go through how you set this up, and all the differences between the code, and how you can sort of use FZF to capture input, and stuff about read line. So what I'm just going to do is come across here and go through this. So first of all, we've got gotbletu channel, and this is the video we did W3M prefix search engines via FZF and Surfraw. And these are his show notes. And basically what you need to do is install some certain requirements. So W3M, Surfraw. Now what I'm going to do is come across to my notes on GitHub, because if you try and taking away my auto completions for my bookmarks. Okay, here we go. Because if you try and install Surfraw on Ubuntu, it's going to pull in a massive amount of dependencies. Okay, here we go. Here's my notes. So what you want to do is run sudo apt install --no-install-recommends Surfraw. There's another package called Surfraw Extras, which has a load of dependencies, like about 100 Perl dependencies, something like that, or Node.js, and it works perfectly without them. But if you just install Surfraw, it's going to install a massive amount of packages. So that's how you want to install Surfraw. So that's the first thing. That's the command line search query doodah thing, for want of a better description, is how we can run search queries on the command line and send them to the browser. So basically, you should have things like Gawk, core utilities. The other thing you need to install is Excel, because the way this script works is it has to copy a link to the clipboard. So it's basically two scripts. So there's actually two scripts you need. So what we need to do is install this go-to clipboard primary.cgi, which you can get from this link. So this is the go-to clipboard primary, and you need to download that. And what I found is actually you can just go to raw and click save page as, but what I found was for some reason that actually caused issues. There may be some space or something, I don't know. But what I do is I just come across, go to raw, copy it, and paste it into your text editor and save it as go to clipboard primary.cgi. What you then need to do is copy that file as root to user lib W3M CGI bin. So that's the first thing. You need to copy the go to clipboard primary CGI to that folder, and then you also need to actually make it executable. So sudo changemod +x and copy it to that folder. And the next script is, this is his version of the script. So what I'll do is, let me just come back to here, come across, and so this is my sort of version. So what I'm going to do is actually go through his script and basically just go through some issues that I had with it and how I've changed it. So first of all, this is actually a bash script, and I use ZSH shell, so I tend to write everything as bin sh scripts. I don't write stuff as bash scripts. So first of all, clearing the screen, and what he's doing is creating this variable called Prefix, which runs Surfraw-LV. So what I'll show you how what that does. Let me just quit this. If I run sr or Surfraw-LV, what that does is that prints out a list of all of the built-in search engines you can search with. So let me just come back here, and then basically what it does is pipes this into grep and FZF, which is this command line program that can create a menu from sort of standard input, and then sort of selects the results, and basically then he's sort of checking if there's if that's been filled in. And then what we've got down here is we're using the read command, and he's adding the prefix. So sort of that the prefix is going to be the LV you've selected, the search engine like Google or something. So it's going to say, Google, enter your search keyword, and it's going to save that as the input. And basically, then what he's doing here is the important one is actually this one here. And you need Excel installed for this. And what it does is it basically, when you run Surfraw with the -P option, rather than sending it to the browser, it just prints out the search query. So if I run Surfraw Google Linux -P, what you can see is it actually prints out the search query that would be submitted to the search engine. Okay, and then it's saved into the system clipboard. And this second script, this go to clipboard primary, basically sort of copies the allows W3M to sort of access the URL that's been copied to the clipboard. So that's how it works. And you basically, the other thing I want to point out here is how he's setting the difference between using shell and read shell. So what we've got here is the keymap in W3M keymap, where you press, for example, he's got it set to XS, and it runs the command. And it's running shell. What it's doing is it's running, first of all, it runs the FCF surfraw.cgi script, which is this one which brings up the menu and the read prompt. And after it's done that, it that then copies the sort of URL to the clipboard, and then you use goto and this clipboard primary script, which then sort of has the URL in it, sort of like lets W3M access the URL created here. The problem is this shell option. That's what causes the hit any key to continue. So if I come across here and just remind you of this, when I run gotbletu's version of this script, okay, I run DuckDuckGo. We come up here, and this is the read prompt. I type Linux. We get this hit any key, and that's because of the read command in the W3M keymap. So I do that, and it runs there. So that's because the shell command requires you to press enter or any key basically to complete. So what I'll do now is just come across to my version. Okay, so basically what I'm going to do is compare the script and how I've changed it, and how you can use FCF and create custom prompts and make it so that things like W3M won't require as much user input, like pressing return and stuff. So this is the keymap here. So what I'm going to do is show you the keymap that I've changed. Let me just come across. Okay, so basically this is the keymap as it originally was, using the shell command here, shell, and path to the two scripts. And the only change I've made is I'm using read shell. Okay, but it's important that to use the read shell option in the W3M keymap, the script's got to be kind of built in a certain way for it to actually work. Because if you just do that, if I just change that to read shell, trying to get rid of the OK option, it's not going to work. So I'll show you how I got around this problem. So first of all, what I've done is just change the variable to lowercase, because I usually keep variables uppercase only if they're error, and also it just means you've got to type variables with shift on. I'm lazy. So I haven't changed anything on this line here, just lowercase this prefix. So these two lines here aren't changed. Well, the only thing I've changed here is the FC prompt. So you can see if I come across to this version here, you can see prefix FZF-E. And basically the only change I've made here, why not the microphone over? The only change I've made there is to use the -- prompt equals in single quotes search with. And this is going to be the first prompt that we get up. So this is the I'll just run this. This is this prompt here. This is this prompt here. So that's the only change I've made on that line. Now the second bit is this is how I've changed to using FZF for user input instead of the read command. So I'll come across here. You see gotbletu's using the read command with these different options to read in some text from the terminal and store it in a variable called input. And the issue with the read command is that it doesn't work with the read shell, and also it uses readline. So if you're using something like ZSH, you're not normally using readline, and it also means it has to be a bash script because there's a difference between read between different shells, between, for example, the bash shell and the bourne shell. So trying to use this with the bourne shell, just a bin sh script, will throw errors because it doesn't have some of these options. So what I wanted to do was replace this read command so that basically let me just exit out of that. Okay, get this. So basically the issue is running the gotbletu script is this input here. This is the read input, and we get the hit any key. It means I've got to press return twice, and that's too much work. So that's the issue that we need to get round. That's caused by using the read command and also the read shell option in keymap. So the shell option coupled with the read option generate the prompt is what causes the OK message. We've got to click OK again. So to use the read shell, we needed a way to replace the input using the read command. So what I've done is created a variable called input, and basically all we're doing is we're just running echo with nothing, no double quotes or single quotes or anything, just running echo and piping it into FZF with two options: print query, and that just basically prints the query out. Instead of opening the browser, it just prints out what you've sort of entered. So what I'll do is I'll just come across here. I won't copy the prompt thing. So echo FZF print query, type yes, and you can see it prints out yes. Okay, so that's what we wanted to do, is figure out a way to use FZF to capture user input and pipe the output back out so we can use it. So you can see here that allows us to basically type anything here, so Linux, press return, and it's just going to output the query. So that's how I'm using echo and FZF to just print out the query, and then what we're doing here is we're creating a custom prompt, and that's set to prefix, and prefix is this variable up here, that contains the name of the search engine that you're using in W3M. It's the LV, so it's like Google or DuckDuckGo. So this bit of code basically lists all the LVs, lists all the search engines, and it creates a prompt, and lets you auto-complete, DuckDuckGo or Google or something, and then basically saves the whatever you've entered in this variable called prefix. So we can create a prompt, which I'll show you again. So W3M-B. So when I type XS, you can see first of all we're going to get two prompts. Search with, so this is prompting us to search with a particular search engine, DuckDuckGo. Then the next prompt is giving us the name of the search engine we're going to use and what we're going to type. So it makes it really obvious. First of all, search with, select the search engine, and then enter the query for that search engine. So that's how we create the two prompts: search with, and then prompt. You could change it to say search with DuckDuckGo, but you've already said search with. So that's how we create a prompt that shows the search engine selected. And then this down here, this is gotbletu's code. Basically, this is doing the same sort of thing. It basically, this is just going to output the query to the clipboard. So this is going to like copy, like Google search # equals whatever it is. So that's how I've changed the actual code and the reason I've done it. So this is a bin.sh. This is a shell script as opposed to a bash script. Basically, all I've done here is change this line to create a prompt, search with, and then again, I've changed the input, use FCF instead of the read prompt. So again here, this is the read prompt using. So what I've done is wanted to find a way to replace that so that we can get a sort of nicer sort of experience. And what I'm just going to do now is I'll put all the links to this under the video, but I just want to compare using Surfraw within W3M to searching within the browser. So here's the steps that you're going to have to go through if you can assign your custom search engines. Okay, so define your sort of custom search engines, like at Google, at YT, at Git for GitHub or whatever. And what you then have to do to search for one of those is, first of all, you've got to shift your focus to the search bar. So either click there or press Control-L. I've then got to type at, and then the name, so like, DuckDuckGo. Then got to press return, and then I can search, so like Linux, and then press return. And it's going to give it, so let me just go through those steps again, although it may seem a bit silly, but it's just to basically go through the usability of doing this with a GUI browser as opposed to something like W3M with Surfraw built in. So it's sort of like counting the clicks, really. So, and like duck, press return, and then type Linux. So that's it in the browser. And what I'll do now is just come across here, click this, and go back through. So same thing in W3M. Just press the keyboard shortcut XS, DuckDuckGo, bang, Linux, bang. I think that's faster. I mean, I didn't time it, but Google, Linux, a second for the results from Google as opposed to DuckDuckGo, but there you can see. And another thing I've actually turned on, there's an option you can do to turn on table borders, and you can also create a keyboard shortcut to toggle them on and off. So see here, this is all. You may find it easier. I've actually noticed sometimes Google search results sort of crash W3M for some reason. But you can basically set big. Probably easy to show you from moving here. There's an option, something border. An option here called something show borders. And you can create a keyboard shortcut for this. I'll have a look at the keyboard shortcut and then it will remind me what the name is. Map. Yeah, so display borders. So what you can do is you can create keyboard shortcuts to toggle the borders off, on and off, and also the line numbers. So you need to search for display borders in your config. Display borders. So that's 1 to enable borders to be on by default is 1. 0 disables it. But I can then press a keyboard shortcut. Go back. Press a keyboard shortcut to toggle the cables on and off. You can also toggle line numbers. Can be helpful. So that's the two key maps. So gotbletu did a video about this, and basically you can just use set option, and a lot of the options are just 0 or 1. So you can just like type the name of the option, display borders equal toggle, and then you can do like reshape or redraw or reload, I think. But that's how you can create key maps to toggle different options on and off within W3M. And again, this is the difference between the two scripts. The two key maps. He's using the gotbletu's using the shell. I'm using read shell, and to enable that to work again, which basically means that we can sort of improve the usability of the script in W3M, so I don't have to press the keyboard so many times. What I had to do again was change the read, using read to using echo and FZF to create the menu. So what I'll do, just go through here again. I'll put all the links to stuff. This is his video about it. The show notes, which again basically show you how to install the scripts, where to install them, the dependencies you need, and so this is the go-to clipboard primary script, which has to go to user lib w3n cgi -bin, and then you've got the other script, which I've modified basically to make it a bit easier to use and make it more consistent, so that we're using FZF for both menus. So this is my version of his script, and basically you create a folder called CGI-bin in your W3M config. CGI bin. So you create a directory called CGI bin in your WM3 directory in your home folder, and you would then copy the script into there. And once you've got that all set up, basically you can run the script by using the keyboard shortcut. And what I was also going to point out is come back across to come back across to his doc files, and Surfraw was Surfraw. What you can also do is in your .config, yeah, .config Surfraw. This is the Surfraw config, so config Surfraw config, and this is basically where you can set the graphical browser and the text browser, and then you can basically say graphical yes or no. And basically what that means is that when you're using Surfraw from the command line, it will open up in Firefox. There is also a -G option you can use to send stuff into the graphical browser. But one thing I just want to show you about using the options is when you type SR, you can type the name of the search engine, and it will autocomplete. But if you use the option before that, it does complete. Some options it wasn't completing for me. Was it the P option or something? Yeah. So for some options, if you put the option for the search term, it doesn't autocomplete, but you can always put it afterwards. So that's just one thing there. But you can also create your own custom search engine queries and put those in the Surfraw configuration folder. So Surfraw, big Surfraw, big Surfraw. You can create an LV directory, and in that you can put all your custom search engine queries. And basically, what you can do is you can copy the search the built-in ones and just modify them. And gotbletu made a load of them here for different things. Like there's a load for different torrent sites and stuff like that. So what you can actually do is you can actually download his Git repository and copy all these to your LV directory to give you more search engines. And that's just something else I wanted to note to mention, is that you can create your own basically CGI scripts. These are the CGI scripts are W3M. These are basically little sort of scripts that just create the search query and then can be sent to the browser. So that's all his Surf Engine scripts and his sort of scripts here for setting it up, and the one I sort of modified to make it a bit more usable. And I'll just, for last time before I finish, just show you the sort of difference again and how I've sort of tried to sort of improve the usability of the script to make it a bit more consistent in the way it works. So this is his version. We don't get a this isn't actually, if you look at it, you don't kind of get any context. I mean, okay, it's listing a load of stuff, but what am I doing? It's just like a little prompt. So you search for stuff. Okay, that's okay. But then we've got to kind of shift our attention from the bottom of the screen right up here to the top, and we've got a completely different look and feel to the interface. So like like Linux, and then we'll get this big new line and hit any key. Well, I've already pressed the key once to do it again, and yeah, then it works. So that's the original version, and some of the sort of little things, little niggles that sort of annoyed me. Although it worked and it's great, it's great to have it working. I felt sort of, I wanted to change it up a bit to make it a bit more usable. So this is that was the old version. Go Linux key, and this is sort of what I've changed it to, XS. search with, so it's giving us some context about what we're doing. DuckDuckGo now telling us, okay, DuckDuckGo, that's like a prompt. You know that that's, well, you should kind of guess that that's where it's going, and that's where the query is going to be submitted. And I type Linux, and there we go, and it submits it. And one thing I just want to go through is actually the script here, and mention some stuff about quoting. And the reason why we, for instance, run echo without any like single quotes or double quotes is because that would put the search term within double quotes or single quotes, and that means, about searching for stuff, if you put it within quotes, it means search for exactly this thing, so it's kind of going to narrow stuff down. And the other thing is we don't quote the input variable here, so you can see the input variable here, which gives us which is basically going to take the user input for what we're searching for. In here, we don't quote that because, again, what that would do is that would put the search term within quotes. So that's why that's unquoted. So that is another important thing to mention. So this bit of code basically uses Surfraw, and what it does is it takes the prefix, which is the search engine, and the search term, and copies that to the clipboard, and then it sort of clears the screen. So that's basically something else I wanted to mention, is the importance of not quoting the search sort of term. So again, that's the finished product. Search with Google, or I'll do, say, ArchWiki, keymap, and you can see it's really nice and fast. So it just makes it really quick to DuckDuckGo, Linux. And I'd say that's a lot quicker than doing this in the browser. DuckDuckGo, press return, Linux, and there we go. And so I'd say that that's a lot quicker and a lot less stretching on the keyboard. So that's gotbletu's script using Surfraw and FZF to submit search queries from within W3M, and just some issues I had with it, and things I wanted to sort of improve by basically, as I said, changing the keymap in W3M to use read shell, which prevents having to press OK, and also finding a way to replace where is this? Finding a way to replace the read command with something else, because basically the read command requires sort of like user input, whereas by using a combination of echo and FZF, we can actually create a script that accepts user input, but doesn't sort of like hang if you try and use the read shell option in W3M. So that's just some sort of things I went through, how to create a sort of custom prompt with FZF. And this took a little while to figure out how to do this, to create the custom prompt that will actually output the input so that we can store it in a variable, and basically change the shell to use the bin sh as opposed to bash, which installed by default in some operating systems. So it just makes it a bit more portable, and basically, as I said, just sort of improves the experience so that it's nice and quick, and doesn't require too many key presses. So if we were sort of counting key presses, it's just the doing it in here, you know, there's a lot of key presses versus just, you know, ArchWiki, W3M, bang. And the other thing I should mention is I did a video, just do another search, bollocks. Wanted to search the ArchWiki, so just one other thing, search for T marks, and as you can see, by default, you've got to kind of scroll down to get to the article. But there's also an option to use Python readability, which I did a video about. So you can press a keyboard shortcut, and it's like reader view that you get in the browser, where it strips out all the junk. the junk. So I just press that, and strips out all the junk, and just gives me the article like that. So that's just trying to make W3M a bit more usable, so we can search for stuff really easy. And again, you know, you can. Oops. ArchWiki, you know, spell that. You know, if you're just wanting to look stuff up, it's just a lot easier submitting search queries like that, as opposed to constantly having to, you know, use loads of keyboard shortcuts. And you know, the other thing is doing it in the browser. You got to sort of create a sort of long sort of list, and you usually have to prefix them with something, because you can't, you know, if you were just to type Google, you don't automatically going wrong place or something. So that's how you do it in the browser versus how you do it in W3M. And again, you can use Surfraw on the command line like this, duck-duck-go, Linux, and it's going to open up here. But the issue with this, doing it, sending the results to the browser, if I do this again, you can see it's opening another tab. So that's why, although you can send results to the graphical browser, the issue you're going to get is going to keep opening new tabs. Whereas if you're doing it within this, all within the same window, so it's a lot easier. And also, I was going to say, I think having the tables for W3M makes it a lot more readable. I think by default it's going to look like that, but if you enable tables, it's a bit easier to read. So that's a wrap up on using W3M, Surfraw, and FZF to create sort of make it easy to submit search queries to multiple search engines. And again, you can create your own search engines. Basically, you can see as you're sort of searching for stuff, you can see the, you know, that's the query. So that's like, you know, the search. And the other thing is that you could also you can create searches for sort of like, you know, YouTube. If I come across to YouTube and search for something, if I search for Linux, you'll see that's the actual query, but that's the actual code there. So that's sort of how you create a query to send to YouTube. But the other thing that you can do is you can actually, like W3M, the other thing that you could do is you could also make search engine queries specifically for different YouTube channels. So you can see here, this is a query that just searches this YouTube channel. So what you could basically do is, well, as making, you've got a built-in YouTube LV for Surfraw, but you could also create one for specific YouTube channels if you just wanted to submit a query and have it search a particular YouTube channel. That's also something that's possible. So that's all for now, and how you can use Surfraw with W3M, and I've got my notes. I want to come. Last thing I want to mention importantly was about installing Surfraw, which I did was installing about all the dependencies. So when you want to install Surfraw, make sure on Ubuntu and Debian based distros to use --no-install-recommends Surfraw, because otherwise it's going to install about 100 Perl or Node.js dependencies. So that's all for now, and I hope that makes browsing using W3M a bit easier.